can offer you some water.
Oh, thank you. I'll make sure it's working. Okay, let's see. Is it working? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
It's red. It's red and
It's red. It says it's red. Let's see. Does it
I
sound
guess
good?
it's working.
It's working. Yes. I thought maybe a good place to start would be with some history, maybe.
I hate that.
You hate history?
Yeah, because everybody always wants to talk. So how was Warhol? How was John Lennon? They just want to talk about personalities and they're not interested in what I'm doing now and about in anthology film archives.
Okay.
What's important now. They keep, then they finish the history and they give one sentence on what I'm doing now.
Okay.
I
Let's just talk
would
about
reverse it.
Then let's
I
just
would
talk
give
about
one
now.
sentence on the past, because that has been covered and written about, and I'm not interested in it. I'm now, my whole work, what I'm doing, the form of the diaristic cinema is based on here and now. So that my interest is always in the moment, present moment. And they always want to talk about past.
Then can we talk about?
I'm only interested in the present moment. What needs to be done now, and what I'm doing now. That's my life.
Yes. Okay. Then can we start maybe with what's happening in 5 days with the new president? I'm curious.
I'm totally disinterested in politics.
In politics.
Yes. I live outside of the political world because I have no control. Because all my interest is in cinema, and not even whole of cinema. I'm not that much interested in narrative cinema. I'm more interested in non-narrative forms because they are most neglected. And they must be more brought into focus, into the visibility, need more visibility. The poetic cinema needs more visibility.
Yes.
You see, that's what I'm interested in. The politics, there are too many people who know something more about it than me, and they will do whatever has to be done, whatever can be done.
But can I ask you then about what's happening now with poetic cinema and what's not so much the past? Well, you're saying that we need to have more visibility for the poetic cinema.
The poetic cinema, yes.
Is there anything that you feel like is lacking right now? Is it places for it to be seen? Because yesterday I saw some new films by Ken Jacobs in Queens, and I thought they were great. And I'm curious what you feel like is needed right now.
I think that with the education system the way it is now in America, with arts practically pushed out by sports and everything else, there is no education in arts. So on the public media, and all the public media deal only with the commercial cinema, commercial forms and content, the television, so that the independents that are working in the more sort of smaller forms of cinema, more poetic forms of cinema, non-narrative forms of cinema, they rely mostly on museums, on some galleries, here and there, and it's a constant effort to persuade them to screen, to keep film programs part of their activities.
But do you feel like they need to be organizing outside of those places, or do you think it can be a healthy relationship, or do you think it's a bad?
No, I think the lack of general education that cinema is not only the public cinema, the melodramas produced in Hollywood, let's say, or in other countries, but it's same as literature. Literature is not just novelistic writing or even short stories, but there is also poetry. So there is a lack of I think, of demand in a way that people don't realize that that kind of cinema exists, and we should see it, and because there is a content which I think humanity needs in order to become more subtle, more less like much. We are surrounded with banality. And much of the public cinema and what we see on television, it's part of that banality. And we need more subtle kind of feelings to support that area of art.
But do you feel like that that can be?
So it's good that there are some places, like you said, Ken Jacobs was screening something. This is Sebastian, my son, and he said that he looked up your site. He knows what your website is.
Hi, I'm Jon. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So that there are some places where some of these films are available, and of course, Anthology Film Archives basically is dedicated primarily to that, to film avant-garde, to the independents. Though we are very open to all of the special classics of cinema, to all of the narrative forms. To us, cinema is one big tree with many branches, and we want to show, and we show examples from all of those branches.
But when you're working with your work in anthology, do you find does it feel more difficult now to find new work to show that you really think is
not that
is
much
expressing that poetic?
Not that much good work, but there is a lot of good work.
Yes.
Much of it these days is produced really on internet. It's not necessarily that you find it in cinemas, in the movie houses. Some of it is on internet. The dissemination systems are changing. The dissemination of the moving images.
But do you think that dissemination can be a problem when it becomes so democratized?
No problem. The easier it is to distribute, to make it available, the better. It used to be you have to make a film, even if you make it on 16, You still have to make a print to send it. Then they screen it 2-3 times and they destroy it or they scratch it. And you send a print. It takes 1 week to get there, 1 week to come back. Here you just, within 5 minutes, your friends can see what you just made it 5 minutes ago. So it's very good that the dissemination, new dissemination channels are available. It's terrific.
But do you think people are talking about it together in a particular specifically? Because I think the thing that I always
some
hear,
are talking. There is exchange between friends, but of course there is even if it's just on film or on video and shown in theaters, it's the same. You cannot see everything that is being made. If we go to 1960, I could say that I had seen every avant-garde, every experimental independent film made in America or anywhere else. I could say that because it was true. By 1970, that was already impossible. The change that took place between 1955 and 65 is so immense because by 1970 or 75, there was already the American Native Indian cinema, the movement to create the black cinema. There was a gay cinema, there was lesbian cinema, the American Asian cinema, there are all kinds of cinemas. And you have to be part of it to really know what was happening in that area. For one person, it was already impossible to see, and I'm talking, let's say, about just United States, but what was happening in France or in London, in other countries. And today, with the digital and the internet, it's totally impossible. So it would be not realistic even to think that, we should somehow try to find out the best of what is made today. No, you cannot do that anymore. Only time will show, same as in all the other arts, much of it that is of second rate, that does not have intensity, people don't care about it and it disappears. So only what has some intensity and people, something special that people want to share among themselves is preserved for posterity. And that weeds out all the secondary material, so that even if we don't see what is today produced, let's say, in India or Peru, or we cannot, I think in 20, 30, 50 years, we will know what survived from that period, what remains.
But surely when you're doing your work at Anthology, part of what has been always a part of your work in Anthology is trying to preserve, to defend something that possibly could be lost.
Now the main problem is to preserve really what has been created till now that we know is of importance, because films fade and fall to dust, and the film preservation, or even digital video works of the 70s, 80s, as technology is changing, the formats are changing, it's becoming very difficult to see works made by even very good video artists in 1980 or 70. You have to transfer them to new formats, and that's the main problem.
But there is work to be done, not just...
Yes, and that, yes. A lot of, that's what we do at Anthology Film Archives. Much of the transferring from outdated formats to the present formats, and yeah, that's what I'm interested in. That's what I'm.
Can I ask you about your work with diaristic cinema? I think when I mentioned earlier that film, A Walk, that you did, which is just a single
one take.
And
yes.
I think I remember reading there was a note there that you were experimenting with not using no cuts, just a single take. Are you still? Yeah. Are you still experimenting with that?
I don't have that many long takes like that, but I did a good number of like 1 hour long tapes during that period.
I'm curious, how often do you go back and look through things, the footage that you have to?
Occasionally I put on my website, like actually yesterday I put a piece on my website.
Yeah, I saw it.
From no, actually I taped it just now, but the subject is really from the 60s. But I pick up some pieces of material from earlier years and I put it on my website for various reasons.
That was the picture with Lenny Bruce.
Yeah, but actually, this is something that and why I put it there, because somebody is making a film now on Barbara Rubin.
Barbara Rubin, yeah.
And I asked him if he knows about that moment, that incident, that what happened between Barbara and Lenny Bruce, and he said he did not know. So that gave me occasion to record that moment, that event, and I put it on there because it brought my memories back. But I have so much material, and then I keep making more now, so it's not often that I go back. But sometimes I go back to the. Someday I will have to go back because I'm still finishing editing my unfinished film materials. I still have a lot of unedited film material, which comes from before I went into digital. So I am to finish that because film is fading, and I have to do something with it right now. Then after that, I will go to look at some of my earlier video footage.
Did that completely, when you made that change and what you've been doing now, up to now, did it? Obviously, on the surface, you can see there's a change in the way that you were shooting things in a way, but that seems obvious.
Different content, different tools make accessible new content, and then there is a new style and new way of recording it, because video permits you to go without any carrying. You don't have to carry any lights. You can go into any situation without disturbing people and taping. It's not like with film when the cameras make noise, or this is so that new areas of life, of content are opened to you.
But you're still using the same camera, correct? You've been using the same camera for a long time?
No, I used for Sony until I am still using this Sony for very wet most of the time.
Hmm.
But I'm now also, I am in, I have in my pocket, I also use, this is more recently, this is my,
Oh. That's very nice. What is that? That's just a... Oh, you can even... It's like
it's
key mission.
It's
Can I see?
like,
And it shoots video.
yeah, good quality, good sound.
Hmm. That's nice. Thank you.
So that's very far from 16 from Hollywood
the Bolex,
technology or Bolex or even Sony.
But I was...
And why not? It's like, you know,
Like the pen. But I was reading... before I came, I was reading some things some notes you had written before, some short pieces you had written before in a book that was published recently, the scrapbook.
Oh, scrapbook.
And there was something, I think it was from maybe 1983 that you had written, and I was curious. I think it was on a conference or something. I think it's called the Media Arts in Transition, maybe at the Walker Arts Center.
Yeah.
And I was curious. You had written it like a dialogue between three people, A, B, C, D. But when you take all three together, there was some sort of ambivalent feelings about technology and about the good that technology does. And I think there was even one line where you said something like, in times of technological advancement or progress, that art takes a vacation. And I'm curious if you...
I think that in the last... I am all for moving ahead. You cannot stop it. Technology will keep moving ahead. But I'm also I have to say that the humanities are those who use this new technology are a little bit behind in their let's say understanding of that technology, and lags behind in their sensibilities, in their moral, ethical maturity. I think that humanity is still more like a bad child, and so that this new advanced technology, a bad child can use it for very negative purposes. In short, humanity is not enough grown up yet to use this advanced technology. Technology is a little bit ahead of humanity. So humanity has to catch up, and that's where the danger at this point is. And that's where, of course, we talk about nuclear, wars, and because humanity is not there. Technology is much more advanced than humanity. So that's where we are, and that's where the danger is.
But I wonder what that means for cinema, and particularly the kind of cinema you're talking about, because
yes, cinema is at least maybe a damaging part of that, and actually the communication part, exchanging of ideas, the internet, that that you can have in every spot of the planet. Everything can be accessed immediately. That's the good part of it, and I think that's what will bring humanity, at least the new generation, maybe not the old generation, will die in 75 years, they will be all dead, even those who are born today. So that's good. I think that humanity dies out, and the new, those who are growing up now, growing up in completely different kind of understanding of what.
It's natural.
Yes. So that's very hard. But those, they're grown up, the older generation is using it for negative purposes. And sometimes the younger generation is caught in it too. Yet because of the older, I think in the United States and Russia, it's the older generation. The Trump is mostly okay. There are some young people caught also in it, but the majority is not with Trump, not with Putin, not with any of those, or ISIS or whatever. I think it's still the old generation that perpetuates those religious fanaticism. All that comes from the older generation.
And education.
I am for the. If all those who are older than 25 would die tomorrow, I would just bless. They would say, "Oh, great, that's beautiful. Now we'll be somewhere else finally."
So you think there's a lot of being stuck in?
Yes, we are stuck. We are in traps. There are so many traps. All this, the corporations, all the video. We are surrounded with traps of thinking. You know, we are changed, constantly attacked, and we cannot resist. We are caught in those nets. Yes. Yeah. So only that will save humanity.
The new generation.
Yes, the new generation.
Okay.
No, of course, one can say, yes, but look to some young people in there, in the South, you know, there's so many of those young people who voted for Trump. What do you want? Or how many young people enlisted to ISIS? Huh? What are you saying? No, but they get caught into that. It's okay, like Hitler. Like not everybody in Germany believed really that you should kill Jews and go and be Nazi. No, but this one can caught into the fanaticism, into we are weak. We can be persuaded and caught, like hypnotized. Certain variety of hypnotism that enters here, and they're caught in it, and they vote like their parents do. And unfortunately, that exists.
But do you feel like that's always the case? Or do you think there's times where the younger people completely break away?
It always, but there are, we are, as of, let's say, 1945, with the creation of United Nations, we are already, humanity is in a different thinking. Now I think that was like a point was made that now the world is one, humanity is one. Enough of this, you know, all of those separations and wars, and let's be one. But we are not yet accepting that that humanity has changed, that we are somewhere else now. And even, you know, I hear now the politicians some say, "Oh, we don't need United Nations." They want to go back before 1944. They want to go back. but we are already somewhere else. You see, and that's so that it's not the same as it was when we say, "Oh, that's how it always was." It is that the parents always affected the younger generation, but the parents, most of the parents of today, are not thinking the same way as the parents of before 1945. We have humanity has already is somewhere else. Many of those parents who are 45 years old, let's say, they are already they believe that the world is one, that we are one, that we're like one. We don't need wars, we don't need all the, we don't want to deport Muslims. We are together. Yeah. You see, but those who are older, and there are still majority of those are still caught before 1945. But majority of humanity, I think, is already, or a good number, and just wait another 10, 15 years, it will be majority. That, and then maybe we can get, then United Nations, I think, will have much more impact. We should, everybody should support United Nations.
So we have to wait for a little while.
Well, we don't
for
wait.
These people to...
We don't wait. We act.
We act.
Yeah.
Even in the face of everything being so static and so many traps.
Yes, we have to resist the traps. By naming, this is a trap. By naming them, by naming the devil, we already make a statement and we cross it out and we resist and we are somewhere else. Yeah, so that's my political statement. Or we read Pythagoras, or we read the old 8th century Chinese poetry that will tell us where to move. Yeah. Or read Jacob Böhme, the shoemaker from the 16th century. He will tell us what's all about. Poetry. We need more poetry in the world.
More poetry in the world.
Yeah. So I said enough.
You said enough.
Or, you should tell everybody to read this. Yes.
Please, if you have things to recommend, please recommend them.
Absolutely. I recommend that you read this book, The Shock of the Anthropocene, by Christophe Bonnet and Jean-Baptiste Press. I don't know where the book.
Yes, so, okay.
Can you snap? You have.
Yes, I have a camera. I'll take a picture.
Put this book on. Of course, this one is also, but this is earlier.
Should I put this on instead of a picture for you?
Yes. That instead of okay, here you.
I'll take a picture. Okay, here we go. Take one more. Perfect.
Yes, and of course you.
Oh yeah,
you can,
I'll get one of these things. Yeah.
Yes. These are the books to read. Besides poetry.
Besides poetry.
Yes.
And what's this book here? This is Han Shan.
Oh, these are two different poets, really. The major 9th century, 8th century China.
I went to a temple once where he lived in China.
You went to China? You lived in China?
I went there for a little while, yes. And a friend took me to
Sebastian?
one of the temples.
The Sebastian? He went to China. He went to the temple of this guy. Where was it? Because he knows China. He lived in China.
I'm trying to remember the name exactly.
I couldn't say.
It was somewhere. It's in the southwest. The big city there is Chengdu, and then you go somewhere from outside of there. Did you live there for a little while?
I did in Beijing and Shanghai, but I did get out a bit to Chengdu and
I'll look it up. Yeah.
Oh, this is the one, not the first, the one most choreography, but this one tells what it comes.
This is a great new series of bilingual editions of.
These are new. They look incredible.
Bilingual.
Yeah, these are.
In the Tiantai Mountains. I don't know what Tiantai. In India, it's a great.
But it's nice. At this place where he was, they had. I think they don't really do it here very much. I don't see it, but in China, it seems like a lot of the. Like if a famous person has lived at a place where they have a little memorial, they actually kind of make the room like they used to have with little objects. And so it had his instrument, and it had paper and his writing, and it was all set out like it would be, like he'd stepped out of the room. Sometimes they even have little figures that
He
are
wrote
supposed to be the
most of his
people.
poetry not on paper, but on walls, on
walls,
anything, anywhere, on trees, and stones, and then later people transcribed all that.
People transcribed it.
The other folk, not do for it.
Oh yeah, no, they're two different.
Well, thank you.
By an Englishman by the name Thomas Stanley. But it's a lot about presenting and a lot.
Actually, can I? I know you didn't want to talk about any people of old history, but can I ask you about one person for myself?
We covered well now the current. We can talk about the past.
Well, I would just like to ask you maybe about one or two people. I was curious. Can I ask you about Jay Leder?
Jay Leder?
Because I saw...
Jay Leder was an amazing historian, and though he did not write poetry, he was like a poet.
So someone gave me the Melville log, so I have a copy.
Yes, Melville log, but he also did this poet.
He did a book on Emily Dickinson.
Emily Dickinson.
Yes.
So two greatest prose writer and maybe greatest poet. He wrote when nobody else was, he already was with them. Amazing. I have the slog book also.
It's beautiful.
And he was very much, and he was a genius like a historian. The approach, the method that he when he loved something, he went with such precision and into the very bottom of it. He also he ended up at some point in China for many years, so he got interested in Chinese cinema, And he also did that with the Chinese cinema. Whatever was available, he went and he wrote, it's still the best, the history on Chinese cinema is by J. Leila.
And on Russia, the Russian film as well.
Yes,
you know,
yes. He always went to the bottom of it. He did a couple of pieces for me when I was editing Film Culture. So that's how I met him. But he was always under FBI on all the lists. He was. I used to receive calls from FBI asking asking questions about, do you know if he has been in Russia recently or something, things like that. They were following him, not leaving him in peace. But he had nothing to do with it. He was interested in cinema, in poetry, and his wife was a dancer, a very difficult person. He had a very difficult life with her. Chinese dancer.
Chinese dancer. Can I maybe ask you about one more person? Is that okay? Do you mind? I was curious if maybe you could say something about...
He made one also film.
Yeah, Bronx Morning, yes.
Yeah.
It's a great film. I like that film.
Yeah.
Can I maybe ask you a little bit about Parker Tyler?
Parker Tyler, it's another one that not many, like, people, these are incredible persons. I think what J. Lady did for Melville and is so incredible. And Parker Tyler was also, he should be known more for his writings. And then also the book that he did with Henry Ford. Henry Ford. The Young and Bad. No, do you know that book?
Yeah, it's what it says. Yes, I know the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Henry
it was done together with. They wrote, somehow managed to. The authorship is by both of them, Parker Tyler. And I liked his precision. We disagreed on some. In a sense, only in one part that, he was very, he was very intelligent and a great writer, good mind, and very precise. And until like 1965 somewhere, he same as Amos Vogel, who was running Cinema 16, was so much close and connected with the earlier cinema of like Kenneth Anger and Gregory Markopoulos and many others. And then when beginning like with the new sensibilities with, it's same as in theater with Marlon Brando, with James Dean, the improvisation, the same with Maya Deren. There was a split around 1960 when Maya Deren could not, with Shadows and Pull My Daisy, where the new improvisational like kind of attitude, diaristic attitude came into the folk and began coming in. When the careful, planned, thought out to the minutest detail kind of works it came to end. Maya could not accept the idea that anything could be done without preparation, without plan, without had to be done almost frame by frame, drawn on paper. So she dismissed Pull My Day, dismissed Shadow, dismissed everything. And that's where the same happened to Parker Tyler. He could not understand, could not. So So that's where we split. You know, I had to attack him on that. But I respect him greatly. What he wrote before that, what he really understood very well, what it was all about. And he was one of great supporters of the avant-garde film until that point.
That's great. Yeah, recently I found this this old book by Henry Miller, and I think it's called something maybe After the War. I'm not sure, but one of the pieces that they published is he wrote an introduction to one of Parker Tyler's books.
Henry Miller
to one of Parker Tyler's books, and it would have been.
What book could that be?
I can't know. I wish I had it in front of me. But the publisher, he handed it to the publisher, and the publisher said, "No way, we're not publishing this."
Oh, so the book was not published.
No, they published the book, but the introduction they wouldn't let him. They told Henry Miller, "No, we're not publishing your introduction." So he published it in this other book instead. I'd never heard of it, but I'm not sure what book it would have been. It would have been sometime in the 1940.
Huh?
Hollywood Hallucinations.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he was going to write one for Hollywood Hallucinations.
Oh.
But they said no.
I bet he wrote, we can read it maybe in some other collection.
Yeah.
If the publisher saw it, so he must have written.
Yeah.
So it must exist.
Yeah, I have it. I'll send it to you. I have the introduction, yeah. I'll send it to you.
Can you send it?
I'll send it to you.
What?
Sunday after the war, yes.
Yeah, Sunday after. It's called Sunday After the War.
Rejected and then Miller.
Or you can print it out?
I can look for them.
Don't worry, I can send it to you too. I've got it somewhere.
Yeah, that was Parker. Yeah, Parker Tyler. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No, these are the great personalities, artists, critics, and of course Parker was also he's not known yet also as a poet. He wrote.
Yes.
He's not. I have one of his poetry books.
But that's what's so strange with Parker Tyler, especially. But
Yeah.
also, even when I was looking at at the library,
you heard the name of Lionel Zipkin?
No,
Oh, okay, that's why I don't know.
maybe. How do you spell the name?
Ziprin. Ziprin. His first book will be coming out. This is the manuscript that they want me to write a blurb for the cover, so I have it. No use. It's another of those not known, neglected, but great personalities.
When was he writing? Was he here? Was he here in America?
He lived on the Lower East Side for all his life. But he's not known, but when it comes out, he will be known. Okay.
He says Z-E...
Somebody should, maybe I'm out of touch, maybe, but somebody should collect Parker Tyler's occasional pieces. Because he did.
Where was he writing for the most part? Do you remember? Was he?
I know only what he did for film culture, maybe 3 or 4 pieces. He did one on Mark Coppolas, one I think on Peterson. He did at least 4, 5 pieces. But he maybe in Partisan Review, maybe in I don't know. But those pieces should be collected. They're great.
But you said Jay Leder wrote some pieces for Film Culture. Jay Leder wrote pieces for Film Culture as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.